Hello, everybody. This is Georgiana and Meredith from Creativity for Kids. And today we are going to be exploring our sensory pack farm for the fall. And you might get to see some more of our sensory packs. So, Miss Meredith, take it away.
Thank you, Georgiana. Thank you, Felicia. And thank you all for being here today. As we said, we're going to be opening up our sensory pack farm set today. And if we have time, we'll probably take a look at either the princess pack, the outer space pack, or the unicorn pack. So let's go ahead and get started with our farm pack. So these are nice because they come in a little bag and it's a resealable bag. So it can also be used as storage. So we'll just open it up and see what's inside. And we need the instructions here. Okay. So let's see. Oh, a cool little tractor with spinny wheels. We have a whole bag full of farm animals. Let's see what farm animals are included. We have a chicken. We have a rooster. We have a little duck. And a goose. I'm not quite sure what noise the goose would make.
Oh, you know what noise a goose makes.
Yep, that's it. We have Ba the sheep, Moo cow, Neigh a horsey, and a little flying dog. Little flying doggy. Okay, so there's all of our little animals all ready to be played with. Now we have some very special sensory dough in here. This is stretchy, and we call it stretchy cloud clay because you'll see it's like playing with a cloud. So how light and fluffy a cloud is, we can stretch. You'll see what I'm saying. All right, we'll just put those aside for now. So we have our green and our yellow. We have our fencing to keep our little animals from running away. Oh, these are adorable. We have adorable little tools to work on your farm. So we've got a shovel, a spade, and a little rake. And then we have our little fruits and flowers and vegetables. So we've got carrots, grapes, apples, and sunflowers. How sweet are those? All right, we'll put all of those right here for now. And what's it say in our instructions? It says set up. Cover a flat surface with a play mat, tray, or disposable tablecloth for easy cleanup. Open the sensory pack with your child and explore all the textures, colors, and shapes. Okay, so we're gonna just open up our clay so I can show you what I was trying to talk to you about, how cool this cloud clay actually is. So, just like other clay, you can squish it and kind of get the feel of what this cloud clay feels like versus other clay. You can kind of smear it with your fingers, with your thumbs like that. And then, oh, here we go. You can pull it apart just like that. This is so neat. Whoa. It's just amazing that this clay does this, and it's super easy to gather up again. So hold it up closer to the camera so you can see a little bit. And then when you want to pick it up, you just take a clump of it and you kind of just like gather it with that clump of clay. So doing this is really, really fun and relaxing. There's just something about this type of clay that is just so cool. All right, so that's the green. And let's get the yellow. Oh yeah, it's the same type of feel. So cool. It almost drips. It's kind of like it drips from itself, but it's not wet. It's not wet, it's very dry. And it doesn't feel like sand clay, you know, that sandy clay. This is really, really smooth. And I've never really felt anything else like this before. It's kind of like smooth and silky, but not wet and not sticky. It's just really, it's just pretty neat. So I wonder what would happen if I mix the two colors together. Let's see. I'm just going to take a little bit of the yellow and a little bit of the green. Whoa. Okay. Let's see if it will mix or if it will marble. So just kind of putting the two colors together. Oh, does it dry out? Do you have to keep it sealed after using it? Let's see if it says in the instructions. It says when you're all done exploring, gather all the materials back into the sensory bag and seal it up for future adventures. So that makes me think that it might dry out. So you will probably want to keep it in the Ziploc baggie that it comes in. But I'm not 100% sure. So this is what it looks like when I mixed it. So it's got this really cool marbly look now. Let's see. Thank you, Tina. So Georgiana, do you happen to know, other than what I mentioned about the drying out of the clay material?
Not off the top of my head, but I would assume that if it comes in a sealed container, it should probably stay in a sealed container.
All right, good thinking. Yeah, and since it comes with a thing, you might as well use it. So, okay, so while we answered our question, what happens when you mix the two colors together? So if you keep mixing it together like this, you're gonna get a light green color. But if I would have stopped, it was a really cool marbled clay color, just like any other clay, which I just love playing with clay. And I love playing with this stuff. Okay, so let's put our little farm together. All right, so what we need, we're gonna need some grass, a grassy area. So this is my little grassy area. Oh my goodness, actually what I wanna do, I wanna see if our tractor will leave tractor prints on our little grassy area. So grassy area. So if anyone out there is also playing along with me with our Century Farm Pack, I would love to know. And if you've already played with it, how have you played with your little Century Pack? Is it different than what we're doing? Did you find it fun? Did you name your animals? Do you have a farm name? Who drove your tractor? Just wondering. All right, ready? It's working. It's making little tracks in our sand. Oh, that's cool. That's not the exact noise of a tractor. Watch out, chickens and horse. But I'll show you what that looks like. It's so cool. It picked up the tire treads. So our tractor tire treads made some really cool textures in our clay. Oh, cloud clay, you're pretty magical. Okay, so anyway, we were making a grassy area. So, what? I think that would be neat if I made like a little bit of a hill. Okay, let's see if I can make a little. All right, here's our hilly grassy area. Put that over there. Sometimes I do videos on our water globes, and this kind of reminds me of that a little bit because for our water globes, you have to make like a little scene inside the water globe, and then you put your little figurines to live in your little scene. So this is kind of feeling like that, but without the globe and water and glitter. But it's very, very similar. All right, let's make our fence around the grassy area. Okay, we got that. Ooh, maybe I should make the fence first. Okay, so how you're going to make the fence? You can see that there's pieces of the fence that are kind of open and pieces of the fence that are kind of closed. You're going to put those closed pieces into the open pieces and just makes a little snappy noise when it's in there like all the way. So look for the little end here that's closed. Look for the little end here that's open. And just go snap, snap. There we go. So this is more of an open structure fence. So your animals can like, you know what? For those animals who might be a little introverted, they can stay over in the corners and like feel safe over here. Moo! And then for your other animals who might need a little more space, they can be over here and graze in the pasture a little bit further out. There you go, horsey. You can hang out in the pasture. There we go. And then rooster. I really want the rooster to sit on the fence. Can we do it? I bet I can do it. Rooster on the fence, rooster on the fence. And our little puppy doggy, he's going to be out here just making sure all the animals kind of stay in this general vicinity here. You can stick your little figurines into the cloud clay. Oops, the rooster fell down. That's kind of. Look up you go, little rooster. I know you can do it. Like a little gymnast. Your name is Simone. Simone the rooster. Yay! Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and plant some sunflowers on our hill. And these are sunflowers. I'll just stick right in just like that. Oh, and what's that you say? There's an apple tree nearby, and some of the apples. I'll show you how cute that is. Oh, and I'll put a little. If I showed you close up how adorable these little vegetables and fruits and flowers were. But they're so cute. So just using your imagination. Oh, the apples have fallen off of the tree. And the flowers have grown side of the hill because they got enough sunlight and water. Oh, and let's make a place for our carrots to grow. So carrots and other vegetables. I plant different vegetables and fruits and stuff in my own yard, and I remove all of the grass before I do it. And you put down like soil. So I'm gonna use this yellow representing the soil. So we'll move our little goose out of the way. And we're gonna have a little garden over here. So we're gonna just, oh, I wonder if you can roll this. Let's see. So with regular clay, you can kind of form it into a ball like that. And then roll it. And I will say, yeah, it acts similar to clay like that. And then you can make a snake, or like that's what they call it, but it's actually like a little rod of clay. And it does it, you can do it, but this clay is so like soft, it doesn't really grip onto your surface. So that's why it's a lot less messy. But you can still make your different shapes like this. So I'm making this shape in order to plant my little fruits and vegetables. So this is garden. And then we're gonna plant some carrots. And I think I want to plant some flowers. Pattern of carrots and flowers. And I think that is adorable. Go. Super cute. Uh-oh, our cow is very interested in our garden. Cow, you're not allowed to eat our garden. Where's our doggy? The doggy scared the cow away. And the doggy is now going to be the protector of the garden so the other animals don't come over and start eating the garden, like this duck or this chicken. So, okay. So that's what we have here. See, how will these tools work with our clay? Let's move our fence out of the way. All right. And let's make more gigantic hill. Oh, that's fun. You can just kind of like fold it up on itself. Folding of the clay. Georgiana, what's that? Did you say let's dig into the yellow clay like it's sand?
Oh my, you know what I was thinking actually is using the rake and like it's corn. And you could make it corn. We eat a lot of corn in the summer.
Oh my gosh. This is fun. Okay, so kind of it brings it, kind of spreads it out. I don't know if it looks like corn, but definitely it's kind of fun to press.
Cornmeal.
Yeah, more like cornmeal. It's fun to press it down into the clay like this and leave this fun pattern that looks like the letter E. Well, I don't know if that was the point, but that's kind of cool. So let's go ahead and pretend like we're raking and shoveling the hay. Oh, hay is yellow.
Oh.
So just like that. Maybe we don't want to throw our clay. We just place it over there. And we'll make a big old hay barrel. Hay barrel? Nope, hay bale. Yes.
What are the ones that are already rolled instead of the bricks?
That's called a hay donut.
There you go.
No, it isn't. That's not a donut. What is that? Like a pumpkin roll, but it's a hay roll.
Like a hay, not a stack, because
Hay
those are
roll. To make a hay roll, it's kind of like a barrel shape. So I would do our round circle first. Round, 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 round. So just to go slower, I'm just pushing a little bit of pressure against the clay and rolling it between my palms in a circular motion in order to create a and then to make your barrel, you just kind of go back and forth instead of around and around, you just go back and forth. So now you have like a little nugget. And then if we squeeze the two sides together, here's our little hay bale, not barrel, hay bale. And hay bales, they have their own texture because it's like a bunch of hay all baled together. So to get that texture, I'm going to use the tip of our little spade. And I'm just going to go slash, slash, slash. I'm holding it with my thumb, but I'm kind of just making little patches on it to make it look like that's hay. So that's the start of our little hay bale. It's so easy to say hay barrel, but it is a hay bale. Texture will make it look more and more like hay. In like this time of year, I have seen where people take hay bales and they paint them to look like either a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern or a spider. Or I've actually seen someone make it look like a minion.
Oh, I was gonna say scarecrow, but minion works
No.
too. You already got the yellow color.
I know. It doesn't really make sense for like Halloween, but it does make sense for cuteness.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, how cute if you had a bunch of little hay bales. You could have a bunch of little minions.
yeah, so very cute. They even put the eyes in the little overall or eye and overalls on them. Yep. That's the thing. Cute. Now we have a hay bale for the little rooster to get up on top of. Rooster likes to go on top of everything.
Simone, you mean?
Yeah, I mean Simone. Simone the rooster. All right, so what else do we have in our instructions? Oh, okay. It's basically coming up with your own play patterns. So you're using your imagination. And maybe you come up with a story about your little animals. Or maybe a song might come to mind. Georgiana, is there a song that comes to mind when you're thinking of a farm?
I mean, I do have a friend. He's kind of named Old MacDonald. And he had a farm.
Did he have a farm?
Some would say E-I-E-I-O after that.
Oh, I think we all know that farmer. Old MacDonald had a farm. All right, friends, on Old MacDonald's farm, what did he have? You guys, do you know that song? Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-O. And on that farm he had a goose. E-I-E-I-O. With a
Honk honk.
Yep, you got it, Georgia. With a Hong Kong here and a Hong Kong there. So, all right. So this is our farm sensory bin. And or not bin, it's our sensory pack. So it's up to you as to how you want to play with your very fun cloud clay and animals and fruits and vegetables and flowers. So let's open up another sensory pack and see what's inside one of those. So we have our unicorn, our outer space, or our princess pack. Friends out there, do you have a thought as to which one you'd like to see me play with next? We have our unicorn. We have our princess. Or we have our outer space. And if you're watching with an older friend or someone who knows how to use the computer, just type in which one you would like to see me play with, and we'll open that one up and see what's inside. In the meantime, we'll put all of our little animals away, and we'll take out our carrots and flour to the side and all our tools for our farm. We'll keep those all together. Smush all this back up.
We have a vote for outer space, and that was also gonna be my vote.
Oh,
Because I think that's the only one I haven't opened. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, very good. Thank you for voting. We're gonna open up the outer space and see what's in that one. How exciting. Actually, Georgiana and I were just talking about outer space before the class began.
We were.
Now, I've never been to outer space. Not many people have. But there are plenty of shows out there about outer space.
And there's a lot to learn about it.
Right, right. Let's see. Come to mind when I think of outer space would be planets and the moon, maybe a spaceship.
Well, what about the people that actually get to go there?
Those would be
Astronauts?
astronauts. Yes, astronauts. I think some animals get to go to space sometimes too. Right?
I think.
Yeah. Well, we will see who's going to space in our sensory pack right this minute.
And maybe we should keep the cow out. Maybe he wants to go to space.
If the cow wants to go to space, we'll get him back out. We shall just see. Oops, here's the instructions. All right. So here's our outer space sensory pack. Oh, I love it already. It looks like some of these items might glow in the dark. Let's just see here. Okay, here's our instructions again. There's an itty. Oh my gosh, I want to eat it. I'm not gonna. But don't eat these. These are not edible. These are just for decoration and playing with, no matter how adorable they are. Not to be eaten. Okay, so let's see. Does it say in our instructions if any of these are glow in the dark? Oh, it does. It says turn off the lights to see what glows in the dark. Okay, we're gonna have to do that.
Is that how we're gonna start?
No, we'll open up the rest of the everything and then we'll see what the clay looks like in this one. And then we'll put some of the stuff in the clay and then we'll see what glows in the dark. All right, so we have, oh, look at this little guy. He's an alien. And it fits right on your little finger. And he's got a little wiggly thing on his head. It's a little star and his little arms. It's kind of like a thimble, but really, really soft and squishy. He's very squishy. Oops, I squished his head. Come on back. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're back. Hey, here's your astronaut. And here's the spaceship with metallic accents. Now, these stars look very familiar. I believe I stuck all of these types of stars on my ceiling when I went to college. So there's a good chance these might be the glow in the dark kind. Yeah, that moon has a face. Cool. Right. And then these look like moon rocks. They are harder plastic and translucent, like transparent. Those are pretty neat. And then our little spiky balls. Oh, these are cool.
I
These
bet
are
those would
really
make
neat.
some cool patterns.
Oh yeah, let's see. Oh, there's another little alien. This is an alien little this like little alien. He has a bow in its hair. That's cute. Okay, very different alien than this alien. All right, let's open up this clay. Oh, this color is so neat. It's like a purpley blue. That's cool. All right, so with this clay, I definitely want to blend some of it together to make it look like the surface of one of the planets. That would be cool. Ooh, and then with this color, it can be like, I don't know, a lake, like a pond or a lake on the planet. So who knows, maybe there's alien fish inside that lake. And then the astronaut can go fishing. All right. We'll blend a couple of these colors together here. And actually, it would be really neat if you did get a couple of these sensory packs, you could probably marble a few colors together and get like a rainbow type of a thing going on. That would be really pretty. All right, so this is oh, okay, so I was very excited, and now I'm getting back to being calm again because this is what this clay does. It just kind of calms you down a little bit, just like any really fun sensory item. Look at these colors! It totally looks like outer spacey. Neat. Kind of want a shirt like this. That'd be neat.
I don't know why, but it's reminding me of ice cream.
Ooh, like Superman ice cream?
Yeah.
Like that shirt? Mm. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. All right, so on the surface of this planet, it's a little bit bumpy. So if you did have a little like, I don't know, moon scooter or something like that to ride around on, it would be very bumpy, a very bumpy ride. Let's make
Like the rover.
no, the moon scooter. But yes, like the rover. The moon rover. Oh, I think I'm making a crater. I'm making an edge to this shape here. So this is like a giant crater. And then inside the crater, it's kind of like a little stadium, maybe. I don't know. On other planets, maybe that's what happens. Like they just use their landscape for things like stadiums to watch the aliens play football. All right.
Football or football?
Football. Let's see. What does this do? Ooh, it makes it all pokey. Oh, that's cool. I'll hold that up. You can see it. It's like a little, kind of like a poke, or the opposite of. And then on the other side, I'm going to show you guys this. This is something that wasn't in the other set. It's a little fun press. So we press it into the clay and voila, you have Saturn. Saturn is here. So Saturn is a for real planet and it has this ring around it. So that's how I knew it was Saturn. And then also what you can do, another thing that isn't in the other set is this cookie cutter. So you can make your own little shapes, star shapes. So just like if you were making sugar cookies, ooh, hey, that turns on the other side. You now have a cute little star-shaped clay. Very fun. Then we'll group it all back up again, and we'll make our little lake. Because I didn't open up two things yet, but I will. So here's our lake. Here's our little alien who's fishing by the lake. And this is our landscape with cool little rocks in it.
That's the VIP section.
VIP section. And this crater lake area is known for watching stars, shooting stars. So I'm sprinkling some stars. Oh, this is so cool. I'm so glad you wanted to see the outer space. This is so cool. So, and here's our little itty bitty alien heads as well. So these little alien heads can represent, maybe they're alien ants. They're like little alien ants.
Maybe they're the alien fans in the stands.
Did you mean to rhyme with alien fans?
Not intentionally, but it came out that way.
That's because you were a genius. All right. We'll be writing our book about the alien fans in the stands. All right, so, and here's our stars. We'll just kind of put them around the edge. And here, pink one, we'll put over here. So these are hard plastic. You can tell by me playing from their hard plastic. Base here for the moon. Extension of the crater. There we go. Now you can. Oh, this is the landing pad for the spaceship. So that means we're making. Then our astronaut gets out and hangs out with his friend, the alien. All right, Georgiana, are you ready to see if we've got some glowies? Glowy items?
Damn.
All right. We shall see what happens here.
We're getting dark.
All right, so the biggest thing for showing the glow in the dark stuff is to have had these items in bright light. And they've been pretty much in bright light the whole time. So fingers crossed. All right, so you can see for sure all the little itty bitty stars glow. And then our bigger stars, let's see. I hold it up. Ooh,
There you go. Yeah.
Can we see?
We can.
Yeah, okay. This looks so
The
cool.
alien. Oh,
The
my.
alien glows, the stars, the moon, the little itty bitty baby stars. Oh, I love this set. This is so fun. Yes, good suggestion to check out the outer space sensory pack. All right, we'll bring our light. Oh, so neat. All right, so if you want a double, triple sensory experience, I would say this set takes the cake because of these glow in the dark items. So, do we have any questions out there? Friends, did you want to see anything else with our sensory pack outer space or farm set? Or did you have any questions on these sets of sensory play? Oh. Hi, but thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed playing with our sensory packs as much as I did. And if you are so inclined, you can find these at Michael's. And they're perfect for gifting or perfect for just playing at home. And I'm sure your little will enjoy it. And you will too. So thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to the next time you join me on our Michael's class with Creativity for Kids. Have a wonderful day.